Hey, this is Tisha Waddell. I am making a video instead of typing my response to you, Mr. Tabor, because I think that sometimes intonation plays a part in being able to truly understand what a person is trying to say. And so I didn't want to leave to chance a written account, and I didn't really want to go back and forth um, in writing. And of course, I'm always open. We can have a conversation directly anytime that you'd like to, because I love to sit down and sort of talk with people and give people some insight into what I'm thinking and why I'm thinking it. You'll kind of see me looking back and forth, and that's because I'm trying to read what you wrote so that I can make sure that I address that accurately. Um, so there was a replay this morning of the conversation that I had with Goldie. I too thought that it was, a little truncated. I was looking forward to being able to hear the whole thing play out so that I could hear it from the vantage point that you may have heard it from. But I do know that what I was conveying was, from a legislative perspective, how we need to be addressing some of the concerns regarding poverty and regarding homelessness. And I stand by what I said when I said that homelessness and poverty are not something that we're going to be able to eradicate. And that is because it's such a multi-dimensional situation. And I just want to deal directly with some of the comments or questions that you made. You said that I've been talking about reading that I've been doing on the issue and how some homeless people will go back to living under the bridge. I don't know if I said that people would go back to living under the bridge. I said that I think that there are people in the homeless community, and not I think, I know, because I want to be very clear in letting you know this is not something that I just talk about. This is something that on a day-to-day basis, I'm actually on the ground experiencing. I am not just a public servant as a citizen of the city of Fayetteville on the city council. I've been serving the public for years in this city. And much of it was done very quietly behind the scenes, because I'm a huge believer in what the Bible says when it says, if you do your good deeds and you announce them to men, you've received your reward when you've announced it. So there's a lot that I do behind the scenes. There are a few stories that I'll tell just for reference sake, but there's a lot that I do behind the scenes for citizens in this community and have done for a number of years, for people who have been very overlooked by a lot of people simply because it's what I feel is the right thing to do. And in doing those things, you get very direct contact with the very population that we're talking about right now, the homeless community, the community that's considered the poor community. And let me be very direct and very candid. I'm not wealthy. I don't even know if I'd be considered upper middle class. I am a normal, regular person who has happened to find themselves in a position of influence on the city council, which I think makes my perspective very dynamic, because I'm talking specifically about what I know and have experienced, and not just about what I think or what I perceive. So when I talk about people who may be given an opportunity to live in a house, and I think that there are a lot of people who are advocates. Call Sue Berg, she'll tell you. Call, any number of people in the community. Call some of your local churches who work with the homeless community. Call some of the different nonprofit organizations who work in the homeless community. And you will find that there are a lot of people who, even if given the opportunity to move into a house and reside in a home, opt not to. Now, the reasons for that vary. We always have, a lot of conversation about mental illness, about substance abuse, and about various other factors that contribute to a person making a decision like that. And so when I talk about there being a level of personal choice in that, that choice may not stem from a place of clarity. It may not even stem from a place of rational ideology, but it still boils down to a choice. And we can't legislate a person and say, you have to live in this house that we've given you, or you have to choose the options that we're providing for you. There are so many organizations that we have, even some that we fund at a city level, that address the needs of the homeless community. But until it's a multi-directional approach, and until we really have support in place to make sure that a lot of people are able to enter into these various programs and facilities that we have, it's not going to be effective. One of the biggest issues that's in the homeless community is mental health. And that is not something that the city of Fayetteville has any autonomy over. And while we may recognize it and we may see it as an issue, it's not something that we directly control. We can lobby, we can have conversations with legislators, we can have conversations in the community, and we can really have a big push, but it will require collaboration with the entities that actually have autonomy over that. So you asked what I talked about when I said a level playing field. So what I mean when I say a level playing field, it's very simple. A level playing field means that we remove the barriers and the obstacles that prevent a person from having an equal opportunity or a chance at success. Understand, I'm a Black woman. And as a Black woman, I know that there are years upon decades, upon centuries of situations and circumstances that have transpired that have taken away a lot of that equality and have made that playing field extremely unlevel. And we have the daunting task as legislators in the year 2018 of trying to be able to go in and bulldoze some of those systems and backfill some of the areas where there are gaping chasms that prevent this opportunity. Once we as legislators do that, then it requires a choice on behalf of the constituency that we've done that for them to take advantage of what we've put in front of them. I'll give you an example. When we talk about creating opportunities for business to grow in the city of Fayetteville, once we remove these barriers and we have in place, minimum mandates that say you have to have at least this number of minority contractors, and you have to be able to not employ because we can't dictate that, but you have to be able to utilize as subcontractors or contractors this percentage of minorities in order to fulfill your portion of obligation to the city of Fayetteville. Once we legislate something like that, it now becomes the responsibility of the constituency base that we legislated on behalf of to take advantage of that. And then we are responsible as legislators for ensuring that is followed through with. So that is an example. Another example would be if we are able to work with the county and to work with the legislators in bringing back a more robust mental health solution, then it becomes the responsibility of each individual as to at what level they will take advantage of that. We can't mandate that a person do something like that. And though we may desire to see everybody take advantage of everything that we have available to them, that will never happen because that's just not the way the world works. And I know that it's not a feel-good answer. I know that it may not be the one that many people want to hear. And there's no passing the buck here because I'm not saying that the city is not responsible, but I'm saying that we have to be very clear on what everybody's part is in this. And we have to be very deliberate in working together to make sure that we are bringing together our ideology, our resources, our tenacity, bringing it to the table together, collaborating and making these things move forward on behalf of our constituency base. We all have a choice. Whether we're able to make those choices from a place of clarity, whether we recognize or understand those choices because of our situations and our circumstances, those are things that require a real community connection. And so while it is very important for the legislators to be involved in this, it is also very important for the community to remain involved. And that's when you begin to see organizations like Pathways for Prosperity, organizations like Habitat for Humanity, organizations like the Big Brother, Big Sister Club, organizations, all of the churches in the community, and even individuals in the community. That's when you begin to see all of these different pieces coming together to provide support, to provide encouragement, to provide mentorship, to provide connection, to provide community feel. That's when all of that comes together to really make everything we're doing as legislators more robust. I don't know if that has helped to clarify for you the meaning behind what I was saying, but I want to assure you that in no way do I feel like being poor is a choice or that being homeless is a choice for all of our citizens. Not at all. And I do want you to know that I'm glad that you asked me the question because I have said time and time again, I would rather for people to come to me and say, what do you mean by that? Than for them to just run with what they believe they're hearing. Because I know that sometimes the thing can be very emotionally charged. And when something comes out of our mouth, it is up to the emotion of the receiver from time to time as to how they interpret that. So I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to take about 10 minutes and really just kind of run this down to you. I want to look at this and make sure that I address everything here. You asked what reading has most influenced my thinking. I'm going to be very, very honest with you. I read a lot, but the thing that has most influenced my thinking is my day-to-day interaction with the very people that we're talking about. And my personal experience as a single mom, as a person whose income was extremely limited, and I had to, make some very nitty-gritty decisions about how to handle my everyday business, and just how to move my affairs forward. My everyday thinking is influenced by my life's experiences and by the interaction that I have with other people and the time that I take to try to understand their life's experiences. Life is such a fragile thing. It's such a very fragile thing. And I'm just learning all the more that we each have such varied stories. And the more time we spend with each other, finding out what those stories are, finding out the backdrop, the background, the behind the scenes information, the more we begin to understand why things are playing out at the surface the way that they are. Rob, I want you to know, you said, I freely acknowledge that I do not live in her district and she does not owe me a response to any or all of these questions. I am an elected official, Rob. I owe you a response to every question you ask. There's nothing that I put on the table. Now, if it's private and it's something going on in my own life, that's a different scenario. But when it comes to my thought process in terms of how I perform the functions of my job, I will always give you an answer. It may not always be one you want to hear. It may not be always something that you like, and I understand that. And it may be something that causes people to say, I just can't rock with her anymore. But I believe in this situation that if you have conversations with many of the people who are actively engaged in this work, and if you have conversations with many of the people who are out on the streets and who are, dealing with homelessness, and many of them, the men and women who are dealing with chronic poverty, you will find that much of what I'm saying rings true and that much of it is reiterated even from those people. So again, I hope this has helped. You can call me if you need to, and anybody else who hears or sees this can call me if you need to. My number is 910-960-7138. And listen, I'm always open to being re-educated. So if there's something that you know that you feel you can share with me that will help me understand something a little differently or may cause me to change my perspective, I'm open to that. I'm not the type of woman who feels I know everything and I can't learn anything. I'm in this world, on this earth, to continue in my quest for knowledge. So there you have it, and I'll talk with you later. Bye-bye.